Hey everybody, John here. So I just got finished watching the first three episodes of a new Netflix original children's family-ish series called No Good Nick. Just premiered 2 days ago on Netflix in the U.S., and I wanted to give some quick thoughts on it. Like I said, my first impressions. Okay, so at the start of the first episode, we'll meet this family of upper middle class people. You got the parents who are portrayed by Melissa Joan Hart of Clarissa Explains It All and Sabrina the Teenage Witch fame, and the father who is played by Sean Astin, who was Rudy in the movie Rudy, a movie I've never seen. All I know is that he was in the movie Click. But anyway, a teenage girl. By the way, they have a teenage daughter and a teenage son, who is the oldest. And then one day, a teenage girl named Nick shows up at their doorstep, and she claims that she is a long-lost relative, a second cousin twice removed, or something along those lines, who had lost her parents in a car accident, so she's an orphan. She had been staying in a foster home, and they had sent her over there, tracked down this distant family of hers, and sent her over there to live with them. She claims that the foster home had attempted to get in contact with this family, but they don't know anything about this. So here she acts kind of all embarrassed and stuff, and feels like, oh, they're not going to let me stay or anything, you know. But they end up letting her, stay there at least for a little while. Then she goes upstairs to the room she'll be staying in, takes out her phone, calls somebody, and says, "I'm in." Okay, so she's up to something. Now, we said this in the trailer, so this isn't spoiling anything, but basically, she actually has another pair of foster parents who she already lives with. And basically, she is putting on this whole scheme, pretending to be related to this family, so she can rob them. She doesn't have a lot of money. Like I said, they have some pretty good money, so she wants to rob them. Which is an interesting premise for a series. I think it's one that potentially could have some issues with keeping this character likable in the future, because they're going to try to make her likable and make it that they kind of want this whole family to actually kind of end up actually taking her in, or at least that's what I think they're going to do. I could be wrong. I think it's one that's interesting and makes for a somewhat interesting story so far. I think the story is definitely the strongest aspect here, but the concern I have with this plot is how long can they keep it going for? How long can they do it? Now, maybe they just want to do it for a couple seasons, but depending on what they want to do with it now, like, if it keeps going in the direction I think it's going to go, I couldn't see this premise lasting them much more than, like, I'd say 3 seasons. If that's what they want to do, that's all good, but the thing I could be concerned about when they get to the point where they're kind of running out of ideas if they plan on making this a long-term show. But anyway, yeah, like I said, this show so far is one that I would call alright. It's one that I would give a mild recommendation to based on the first 3 episodes. Like I said, this is just a first impressions of it. The full season is available, of course, now on Netflix, but I just wanted to give kind of a quick first impressions, and it's okay. Now, all the actors here do a pretty good job. The girl who plays the main character, Nick, I think she does a pretty good job of kind of making this character sort of likable and charismatic in the sense that, you enjoy watching her. She's kind of entertaining to watch. One thing I really appreciate about the way they roll this character, Nick, is how, because obviously she has to put on this whole kind of act for this family. And one thing I appreciate is how they write it that she doesn't portray herself as being like a perfect angel around this family. She can kind of like try to look out for herself and, sometimes be mean to them, be kind of snarky and sarcastic, stuff like that, kind of like try to like get the upper hand against them. She still portrays herself as being an overall nice person, but not as like an angel. Because I think the problem with that is that it can often could potentially make the character, like, there's a certain point where it's like, you can act too nice when you're trying to fool somebody, and it can come off as suspicious. So I definitely like how the writers made it, kind of had a more unique take on that sort of story. So that's something I appreciate. I think the rest of the actors all do a pretty good job. The daughter in the family is portrayed by, I don't know the name of the actress, but she was the younger cousin on the 4th season of Liv and Maddie. She's pretty good. The older brother, who is the one who is the most suspicious of her, while everyone else sort of kind of accepts her. Yeah, he's all right. You got Melissa Joan Hart, like I said, and Sean Astin. They're both pretty solid in the role. Both, competent actors. Nothing amazing, but they do, a serviceable job in their acting. Other than kind of my potential concerns about what they're going to do with this story, which, like I said, at this point is a story just based on these 3 episodes, that I am intrigued with, and is, I think, the main aspect of the show that's kind of keeps me watching more, like I said, the story. But other than some of the possible concerns I have with that, I think the main issue I have with the show is this one is basically, it's a drama comedy, you could say. And the comedy overall isn't the greatest. There definitely were, I'd say, a handful of laughs over these 3 episodes. Some of them were kind of in the form of some of the more adult jokes they do. But overall, it's just kind of not extremely funny. I was watching the first episode, and it wasn't to the point where the comedy was, cringeworthy, but it was kind of just watching the joke. And the show has a laugh track. Not an overly obnoxious one, but it does go with a laugh track. So if you don't like that sort of thing, maybe not the thing to watch. But, I'm watching the show, in the first episode, they tell a joke, laugh later, and I'm just kind of like, that wasn't that funny. That wasn't that funny. That also wasn't that funny. Like I said, a handful of laughs throughout 3 episodes. It does get a little better as it goes along, to the point where, like I said, I think that I'd call the show okay, but the comedy, not good. Not the best. Like I said, I think if anything I do enjoy here, it's the characters who are well written and interesting, and you kind of like following them and seeing where they're going to go with this story. And I think, like I said, the story, despite the fact, like I said, I do have some concerns about where the direction they're going to go with it. For now, it is one that's keeping my attention, and one that kind of wants me to kind of keep watching to see where they're going to go with the story. Is she going to get caught? All this kind of stuff. I think it's a show that is somewhat entertaining and enjoyable, and like I said, it's one that I would give a mild recommendation to. If it sounds like something that interests you, I would say maybe check out a few episodes. If you don't get anything out of it at all, maybe just stop. But if it's something where you watch it and you're getting some enjoyment out of it, I would say maybe something to stick out for at least the first season to see if it gets to the point where it's something you can really enjoy. I definitely see a number of kids shows like this where they start off kind of weak and get better as they go along. I could see this going in that direction, although at the same time it is something that I could see getting weaker as it goes along. I am going to continue to watch the rest of the first season at some point over the next few weeks. I probably will talk about it at least a little bit on my Twitter, so if you're curious to see my extended thoughts on it, feel free to follow me on there. Link down below, and some other links also. But yeah, overall, the show, like I said, is all right. At this point, I would probably something that I would give a mild recommendation to. Not the best thing ever, but I'd say given the track record with some of Netflix kind of and their live action kids shows, stuff like Alexa and Katie, Creeped Out, Series of Unfortunate Events, I could definitely see this as something that gets better. I know they also have some ones that are pretty boring and uninteresting, but this is one that I see some potential. So yeah, overall, I'd say give it a shot. Okay, yeah, so I guess that's all I gotta say. Thank you all for watching, everyone, and if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, maybe share the video on social media. Look out for more videos on my channel in the future, and thank you all for watching.